Hey everyone, we are here joined with writer, director, producer Alejandro Hidalgo of the new film, The Exorcism of God, which is going to be releasing Friday, March 11th here in the US. Alejandro, thank you so much for joining the show.
Oh, thank you, man. I feel so excited to be here and to talk about the movie with you.
Awesome. So Alejandro, I'm going to give you the really difficult but important task of explaining to our listeners, spoiler-free, a little summary of The Exorcism of God.
Well, The Exorcism of God is the story of Father Peter Williams. He's a man that has been suffering for a long time. He has been keeping a secret of a sin he committed 18 years ago when he was a young priest, and he had no choice but try to perform an exorcism on a woman. But he fell in temptation, he was possessed, so he committed a terrible sacrilege. So 18 years later, he has been working in an isolated town in Mexico, a beautiful place that he loves. And he has been offering help and humanitarian aid to these people, but then the demon has come back to haunt his life. The demon returned to possess a girl called Esperanza, and the only way that Father Peter has to exorcise her is by confessing his sin and being pure enough to expel the demon. But if he confesses the sin, he will be expelled. He will be excommunicated from the church. He will lose his home and also the opportunity to help and save the people he loves the most. So it's a huge dilemma in this story that is full of horror and emotional impact.
That was amazing. I'm glad I asked you to do that and I did not attempt, because
I was trying to do my best in English, man. Okay, I hope.
You know what? Thank you for saying that, because I think our listeners should also know that, as you were saying, like, English it can be a little challenging for you. So that was actually really good. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
We have been talking with a lot of up-and-coming filmmakers and their experiences being involved in film festivals. Can you share your experience with us?
Yeah, for sure. We had a very small but festival run, but we participate like in the biggest fantastic film festivals in the world. The world premiere of the movie took place in Fantastic Fest, and the reaction was amazing. We had an amazing Q&A and very good comments from people. And also we screened the movie at Sitges. This festival takes place in Catalonia, Spain. And it was so crazy, man, because this audience, they love horror so much that basically when they see a very good jump scare or a very good moment of tension or something visually stunning, they clap. Even they don't laugh, they clap. So they scream just because they are excited, not because they are afraid, but they know it is working. So it was very, very moving and very exciting to see how they react. And then now we released the film in several countries theatrically in Latin America, and has been amazing. The premiere in Mexico, Venezuela. So yeah, I cannot wait now to see the reactions of our release in the United States.
Yeah, we were able to check it out. It's a great film, so I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy it, So also back in 2013, you created The House at the End of Time, which is the first Venezuelan horror film. How does it feel having an accomplishment like that on, representing from where you're from?
Yeah, absolutely. And House at the End of Time was like the door for everything, like this film. We released it just in 25 theaters in Venezuela when they released Hollywood horror titles like in 100 theaters. And people never stopped watching the movie. They attended the screens for 9 months. The movie was in the movies for 9 months. So the film became the highest grossing horror film in the Venezuelan history, and then we released it internationally. I got several awards, and then I was working for a remake with New Line Cinema. It didn't happen, unfortunately, but now the remake rights are back to me, and I'm developing the remake by myself.
I can't even imagine a film being in theaters for 9 months. Like here, they push them out so fast that if you don't go like in the first 2 weeks, you missed it.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
like I tried for the first 2 weeks to buy a ticket for me to watch the movie, and it was impossible, you know. And the funny thing is, like in 2013, only the 50% of the theaters in Venezuela had DCP. Like they were actually screening the movies on 35 millimeters. And when I attended a screening after 7 months, it was impossible to watch the movie because the 35 tape was so damaged that you were watching like, I don't know the names, but like black lines
Yeah.
everywhere. But it was awesome. Yeah.
So we start this playlist, which features some of our guests' favorite songs. Could you share 2 songs that made an impact on your life, or even on your career, that we can add to the list?
But you mean 2 songs? Okay.
Any
Well,
songs.
any songs that came to my mind? Well, With or Without You, you too. And I think the main theme of 21 and Space Odyssey, Zarathustra. I don't remember the name right now, but you will find it.
Oh,
I know what song you're talking about. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Dun,
That song's
dun,
epic.
dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
There's some good choices right there. So
Yeah.
for all listeners, you can check that out on YouTube and also on our Spotify page. You know, like we're talking about everything going on. How does it feel having your very own Hollywood Walk of Fame star, man? How's that feel?
Well, I am so happy to have it. Like I feel very thankful for things that haven't happened yet, you know.
Yeah.
And that is one of those. Like I'm working hard and being grateful and being thankful with all the things I do. So I feel like that is gonna happen, and I feel thankful even before it happened.
Yeah.
We'll push for that.
Yeah.
We're in Providence, Rhode Island. We're on the other side, but we'll push for it.
Yeah, just help me, please.
So with you being a filmmaker, what are some of your what films that got you into horror and inspired you to make your own film?
Yeah, well, I will say one of them was The Exorcist.
Okay.
Is the masterpiece of the genre. The funny thing is, I watched it when I was just 10 years old, and I was alone. And this film traumatized me for years. I
Yeah.
wasn't able to sleep alone, moving to my mom's bed. And then when I was 17 years old, I watched The Others, and it blew my mind. You know, like the twist, it was amazing. So I have seen a lot of horror movies, but these 2 are like my favorite ones.
Yeah. Now just think of it, man, because
Yeah.
think about the 10-year-olds that are gonna watch your film, because I just think yours was just like to a whole nother level,
Yeah.
So The Exorcist is classic, and one of the themes here with possession. What gave you the idea of a counter exorcism, as in the Exorcism of God? It was a really unique idea, and we'd really like to know, like, how did that come about?
Well, I was so fan of The Exorcist that I wanted to get into the genre sooner or later. There is also another exorcism movies that I really like The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I know the screenwriter. I am working with him for a project. And I just wanted to bring like my own vision to a genre that is always well known for people. And I wanted to bring some twist. I feel the story has an amazing twist about how you can see the perspectives about exorcisms. And I also wanted to talk about a human story. Like I feel like there is a bunch of exorcism movies that they are just looking to scare people. They are just looking for create horror, but I feel they left behind the storytelling, like inviting you to a drama to get into the internal dilemmas, struggles, and internal conflicts of the characters. And I also wanted to talk about very important matters for me, like faith, and also the divorce that sometimes exists between spirituality and religion. So from that perspective, I wanted to talk about sin. I wanted to talk about forgiveness as the most powerful manifestation of love, and also I wanted to play and to create amazing moment horrors with iconic characters that I feel they are very original. I feel we have two very particular horror characters in the movie that I feel they will scare you to the bones.
Nice. So before we started this conversation, Alejandro, I had mentioned to you that I'd read some reviews because this film has already been released in some other countries. Yeah. So if you go and you look up some reviews, I think that there is a misunderstanding or a misconception of what some of the message is in the end. And I felt like this might be a great platform for you to be able to kind of clarify that. Again, trying to stay spoiler free. I don't want to ruin this for anybody. So I had some thoughts that I want to present to you, and maybe you could kind of tell me if we're on the right track. But I think one of the concepts that it seems like you were trying to touch on is this idea that you know what, I'm gonna not do that, and I'm gonna let you see if you want to kind of talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like we can make a little spoiler because it won't reveal the entire story, but at the end of the story or close to the end, there is a priest who is rephrasing a Bible paragraph, and in this statement, he talks about thieves and murders or sexual abusers or homosexuals, that they will not inherit the kingdom of God. That is something really bad. And this priest, I'm not going to reveal who he is, but this priest is obviously a character who was possessed by evil. You understand? So basically, when I was speaking about the divorce that exists between spirituality and religion, is about that, like as an individuals, we need to be capable to recognize where is God. And I feel God is where is love, or where is forgiveness, or the redemption. But for example, I myself, I was raised as a Catholic, and I myself, I follow a lot of Catholic principles, because basically Jesus, as a Messiah, as a philosopher, or as an historic character, he brought a very important message for humankind. He just said, love other people as much as you love yourself. And basically, this phrase is a resume of all the 10 rules of Catholicism. You won't kill, you won't envy, you won't have bad thoughts, or you won't commit any bad actions if you try just to love other people as yourself. So I feel like we can find God, whatever is your religion, in the places where love is, against places where you can find even discrimination, So I believe in a lot of Catholic principles, but I don't believe, I don't support, for example, that now in the year 2022, like it doesn't exist the gay marriage, something like that. And this story talks about how humans sometimes get corrupt. And this story talks how we can expel God from our own body by committing sins. And that happens also in the church, because we already know sometimes in the Vatican, there is amazing, beautiful, and good people, but also very disturbing facts has happened during the history. Even we had 10 centuries of the Dark Age, and it was called the Dark Age because basically we live in the darkness and under the oppression of the church. So yeah, we have to find God in love, and I feel basically that is everything.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you were able to explain that in such a way, because that was when I was reading the other reviews. And as I said, even I had at first was like, wait a minute, did I just hear what I thought I heard? And then I had to kind of process and think about well, what was actually happening there? And the first thought I had was I almost felt like you were trying to say we're all imperfect in some way. So who are we
Yeah.
to say that, like, you know,
Exactly.
why do we put these people on a pedestal?
To be honest, I didn't want it to make everything easy on the movie. You need to think about it. And if you just pay attention to the story, you connect with the storytelling, you will find the truth, because the truth is obvious on the movie, you know, like I just feel like as this story is based on the Catholicism principles, this is very sensitive for people, that sometimes people just react before just thinking, you know, like, and I just hope people will be able to connect with the true message, because this film never denies the power of God, for example, and the power of God is love. So I to be honest, if there is some people who gives me bad reviews because they don't understand the movie, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
I made the movie for people who will, so I just hope that the most of the people understand the message.
Yeah. And I think what you said earlier is also important, and not to drag this on too long, but I do think that, like, we're very used to seeing religious horror films that don't really make us think, because we're so used to, like, this formula of there's an exorcism, you know, there's a battle of good versus evil, and then good wins. We
Yeah.
don't ever question good, ever. We just assume that it's always going to win. In this movie, we start to question, like,
Yeah.
everything. So
I mean, I have received, because this story moves through very dark waters, you know, and when I was writing the script, I was aware of that, and I think I was careful enough to not offend anyone, you know. For example, in this story, you can see the dark side of Latin America. For example, we see, like, there is a very dark prison where there is not like human conditions for people, and that is something that I have been witness. My own sister in the dictatorship here in Venezuela, she was taken to prison being innocent for a long time. It was so painful, and that inspired me to talk about this, or people being hungry and needing help, and for example, this reality happens in Mexico, and I love Mexico. I decided to move to Mexico, and I actually live in Mexico because it's one of the most beautiful countries I ever met. And I received message from people who is like mad, like, oh, you talk bad about Mexico, and I say, okay, but 1 minute, just think about it. The protagonist is fighting so hard for the Mexican people, and he's from America, and he fell in love with Mexico so much that he's fighting to protect, to save the children in there. So why you want just to believe that I'm talking bad about Mexico? I like stories that they are they are they have some kind of ambiguity, because in the ambiguity you can find something real. Life is light and darkness, you know, and in Latin America is a beautiful continent full of people with amazing and beautiful hearts. Is the place where I have felt more human warming, you know. And in these places we are suffering very injustice and very unfair situations, you know. So yeah, like I have been like receiving compliments and praises from people who is shocked with the movie, but also some attacks from people who is very sensitive to the matters I talk on the movie. Yeah,
That's unfortunate. I got it, you know, I got it. And when Dave contacted me, like as soon as he saw it, we watched it at the same time, and he contacted me. I was like, oh no, this is what it's saying.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I could relate, you know, on a personal level. I could relate to that. The lady that raised me, she was a refugee from England in World War II, and she was with my grandmother for like 31 years. And there was no one in the world that could tell me that she was a bad person. She took care of me from the day I was born. So, you know, there's no way. Talk about love, you know, I'm not even her kid, and she took care of me. So
Yeah.
I got it. And I really appreciate you saying that. So I greatly appreciate it. So thank you for that.
And thank you for the question. You know, like I feel I wanted to make art. And I feel the story shows itself like this is another Hollywood horror movie that we just will have fun and we will get scared and terrified, but I wanted to go a little bit beyond that. You know, I wanted to entertain people, to bring amazing amounts of horror doses, but also I wanted to talk about something, and I want people to think, even if they don't agree with me, that's okay. That's art, and that was my vision on the story.
That's awesome. The last line in the movie actually gave me goosebumps, and I don't want to give it away, but
Yeah.
it ties the whole movie together. And I was like, wow, what a powerful ending. You know, can you give us the story behind that or elaborate on it without giving spoilers? Is that possible? Yeah, that's a tough question, huh? It's like, yeah.
Well, there is no real facts behind. Like everything was like original. Like the first scene is very difficult to talk about it without bringing spoilers. But the first scene and the scene that the priest commits was like the main idea of the story and the consequences of that, you know. And then when I found that idea, I wanted to connect it with a global conflict, you know, because something I hate about a lot of exorcism movies is like, even some of them, they are great and they are able to scare, but the demons are just trying to possess people just to have fun or to create or to do something bad, something evil. But what I love from The Exorcist is like the demon Pazuzu, he had a purpose during all the stories. So I wanted to give a purpose to our demon, who is called Balban. During all the story, he's just he's preparing a plan, and this plan is related to the eternal battle between good and evil, you know. So I wanted to put that on the human level, and as I was talking about religion, I brought this issue to the church, to the priest, and to the real life in the story, you know. So this will be like the way to connect it to that powerful ending.
Yeah, it tied together really well. I gotta tell you.
Thank you, man.
It was almost like Jaws. Jaws, the opening scene and the end scene, the first line and the last line tied the whole movie together. I thought the same thing with this. I was like, wow, that's really good, and that's rare. So kudos to you.
Thank you, man.
And I really wanted to touch on the cinematography.
Yeah.
Like that, I think the story you told was great, and a lot of that had to do with like the scenery, the sets, the camera angles, the overall look of the film. You know, when it's beautiful, and then when it's creepy, like it's super creepy.
Yeah.
And can you elaborate on the cinematography, the sets, and all?
Sure. We basically mixed two different languages for the horror. We were working with the classic German expressionism, you know, by working with high levels of contrast, shadows. Sometimes you can see the figures of the character reflected on the walls, and I wanted to create like a very dark atmosphere, but also I didn't want it to be too dark. I didn't want it just to turn off the lights and basically you are not able to see anything. I wanted to make the experience terrifying, but beautiful and enjoyable. In that sense, we create darkness by using low temperatures rather than by just darkening everything, you know? So by using colors, a color palette of gray, blue, green, you can bring an atmosphere that is cold and it's dark. And I wanted to also mix it with like, how can I say that? Like spotlights of warm light. You know, like you can see everything is white, everything is blue and dark, but maybe a character is walking with a candlelight, and maybe that area is orange, you know. So in that sense, the orange, the warm, is fighting against the blue that is cold, and that is a symbol of the eternal battle between good and evil. But out of the horror, just for the daylight and for the drama, we work with naturalism, because I wanted everything to feel real, and I wanted the people to get involved into the tragedy and to the painful situation with the kids, with the children that are passing through a very weird illness. So yeah, and also with beautiful environments. I just wanted to play with a warm light, and it also shows like the beauty of the nature of Mexico, so that was basically the work I tried to bring on the table alongside the cinematographer Gerardo Scati, a very talented Venezuelan guy.
Nice. Could you tell us a little bit about the actual sets you used, like the prison? What was that?
That was basically everything built by us in a studio.
Okay.
Like I it is very tough to find a prison like that, because it needed to feel real and creepy and dilapidated as much of a lot of jails and prisons in Latin America, but also it had to feel like it was part of a horror movie. So I feel the right balance. The only way to achieve it was by working with an amazing production team. So I found a very good production team from the production design team from Mexico. And also I love that concept we create for the cell of Esperanza, the possessed girl. She's in a kind of isolated cell that has a very tiny but strong door, so
Yeah.
I feel like that made it very, very creepy and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, no, it was very, very effective. The set designs reminded me something in like, one of the recent like James Wan movies or something, like The Nun or something, like where the set is just so gorgeous, and that prison was so creepy. So that was very cool.
Great, thank you.
And then I have a two-part question here. So it seemed like everyone in the cast was spot on. Like, I don't know if it was you or the casting director, but oh my God, everyone did the acting is phenomenal in this film. And part one is how much did you have for the characters? Like, how much influence did you have on who you could hire as the actors? And the second part was, how was it to work with all those kids?
With the kids, wow. Well, when we start the soft pre-production of the movie, we start just trying to have some luck. We start looking for a big stars, but it was impossible because we had a very small budget. But then I got a recommendation for Will Banbrink through Barbara Muschietti. She's the producer of It and It Chapter 2 and The Flash. I was working with her for the remake of my first feature film, The House at the End of Time. And he worked on It. He made an amazing, very small role. I saw some of his other works. And when we worked together and we made auditions and also some exercises to develop the character, he proves to be an amazing actor because he took for himself all the drama, all the conflicts, all the dilemmas from Peter. So sometimes I was on set looking at him and he was walking from one side to another one, tormented, full of guilt and hitting walls and screaming, fuck, It was so funny. It was so funny. But he was so passionate, and I love that because I am very passionate too. And Esperanza, she was an amazing Venezuelan actress. She's getting into the Hollywood industry. She, a couple of years ago, she released a TV show on Sci-Fi. I think it was a TV show produced by the Avengers directors, and it's called Deadly Class. And yeah, we also brought Joseph Marcel, who is very well known for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He performed Jeffrey, and it was amazing to work with him because he brought some freshness, some comedy, some humor to the story, and at the same time he has a very powerful presence as he is an amazing play theater actor in London. So yeah, I feel I could like just put together amazing actors. I think it has variety also because we have a lot of Latinos, Mexicans, American, a black guy. So I feel it was amazing just having a multicultural talent on the story.
Yeah, they were definitely amazing. Joseph Marcel really like blew me away. I felt like his performance was incredible. Everything you just said was exactly right. He was, you know, funny in some moments, but then super intense.
Yeah.
And I just actually, I loved his performance. I thought he did such a good job.
Yeah.
Did you, were you familiar with the Fresh Prince? Because
Yeah.
we all saw his name and we were like, when
Yeah.
Brandon texted us, he goes, Jeffrey's from the Fresh Prince is in this.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't look for him for that. I was in conversations with another actor, but the schedule was impossible. And then my agent, my you know, like one of my agents is called Michael Lewis, and basically he's from London, and he has a very particular humor sense. Like his humor is very dark, very black, and I developed this character inspired on him. And basically he told me like, okay, I'm going to recommend you someone that is my friend. He's an amazing actor and he knows me. So he was like the best choice to develop the character because basically it was him.
Definitely balanced the movie out a little bit, because without his character having some like such a dynamic, it would have been a very, very serious all the time movie. But he brought in a little bit of something else. So
Yeah.
I think it was a good choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to bring entertainment, and I wanted people just to have fun. I know I choose a very intense matter to do it,
Yeah.
but it is okay. Maybe we'll have teenagers discussing about very important things like this, you know. So I didn't want it to make like a very serious drama with horror. No, this is a horror movie full of impact with a great drama, but also with some moments to just have fun and laugh.
You know what? I told my wife he was in it, and she was actually interested. She will not watch a horror movie, especially an exorcism movie. She's very religious, and she was like, absolutely not. And I was like, the guy from Fresh Prince is in it. She was like, oh, really? So we're working on it. We're working on it.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to touch on, the special effects were amazing. It was like not cheesy, not over the top, but perfectly melded. Did you have a hand in the special effects, or was it just strictly the technicians? And like, how was it directing, like, especially the shadows and the like, without giving it away? How was it working with the special effects, and how much input did you get to have in the special effects, because they were pretty amazing?
As the budget was really low, like we tried to perform as many special effects on set as possible. We work with an amazing practical team, and basically we create a lot of special effects on camera, but then we touch them and we mix them with some VFX. I work with an amazing Argentinian VFX crew. And basically, for example, if we develop amazing characters like the possessed Jesus or the possessed Virgin, we brought amazing effects makeup artists from America, and they create like very dark, amazing creatures. But for example, for these creatures, I wanted to have different color eyes, and their eyes moving in different directions to feel like they are looking everything at the same time, and that looking is so frightening. So VFX did that, you know, like, and also the VFX helped us a lot to build the universe. To be honest, I didn't have the right amount of lights on the trunk to light the church in during the night, you know. So basically, like the main shot we have of the church during the night, we did it during the day actually, and then our VFX team, they transform it into a very amazing real night, you know. And there is a lot of VFX like that they are there to not be told, to not be fine. For example, there is a shot in this very old isolated town with dilapidated houses, and basically all of these houses were very new and beautiful, and they didn't look like a poor town. So we replaced them with houses that look poor, full of cracks. So yeah, I feel by working with this amazing team and by making a breakdown of all the effects to be done on set, or the VFX, we made a very cool that we achieve a very cool balance to create a universe full of very amazing and terrifying images.
That's awesome. So
Thank
here I have this really weird question that I have never heard anybody ask anybody.
Okay.
Now, every time I see I'm that guy that reads the credits all the time, and I
Yeah.
always see a caterer in the credits. So no one ever asks, how's the food on set?
How was the food?
Yeah. Yeah, I always wondered, like, I'm not an actor, but I always see
I
catering. I'm
never
like,
have heard that
"That's
question.
important
Yeah,
for us."
you're totally. Yeah, the food was fine. You know, like the Mexicans, they have amazing food. Like we ate tacos every day,
Yeah.
all different kind of tacos. And
Oh,
also,
that is a dream.
Mexico has an amazing food. You know, like right now I'm trying to think about all the names of their foods because they have like a indigenous name, and I don't remember them, but they have soup, and they have like the tacos and quesadillas, and it was amazing. I mean, like, we can't complain.
Is that where all the budget went, to the catering?
Oh, just the 50%.
Yeah. Well spent. That's a very important part of the process.
It is important to have the crew
Yeah,
always
yeah.
happy, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
I see what happened. You said you didn't have enough lights, and you sacrificed the lights for the good tacos.
I
My
prefer
choice.
eating well than having good lights on set.
That's awesome, man.
So, Alejandro, you had mentioned this is already released in some countries. We're gearing up for the release of this on March 11th in the US and a few other places as well. So, once this is done and you've kind of gone through this process, what's next for you?
Well, now I'm focused on the distribution, and I'm very excited because the film is always on the top 3 in the box office against huge Hollywood titles, and that's amazing in Mexico, Brazil, Argentina. As soon as we finish this, I'm working on developing the remake of The House at the End of Time, which I think is an amazing, beautiful story full of supernatural psychological horror, but also it's a story with an amazing twist and very emotional. I think this is a story that I made a long time ago, very original. And I did it with a very low budget, and I mean it was very successful. But I want this story to be known on all Earth. Like I want to have a bigger distribution. I'm also attached in a couple of horror projects. One of them is called God Pool, and it's an American horror film that it will take place in an amazing, beautiful place in Ecuador called Tiempos Caves. It's like a mixing of adventure and horror. It's a quite interesting project.
Awesome.
You can check it out.
Can I ask you a question about you're basically going to be remaking your own film, right?
Yeah.
What is it in this remake version of it that you feel you'll be able to add to it that maybe you couldn't do before because of the lower budget?
Well, first of all, I will make it with a bigger production value in English. I'm looking to have a star attached to the project, and the story, I have to say, is already very powerful. Maybe a few little plot holes that I improve, but also I have learned too many things in the last years that I want to improve the horror. I want to make even the film more emotional, and I have add like 3 more twists that I feel the ending is like a huge hit, a huge punch in your face, like when the movie will finish and everything goes to black, you will say, "Holy shit!" And so I feel it's amazing, man. It's amazing, and I have put a lot of passion and work on this, and I feel like this movie that it was already beautiful and amazing can become now like in my own masterpiece. And my dream is this movie to become like a story well known like as the others or Pan's Labyrinth, something like that. I feel it has the same potential, the same power, and the same beauty, you know. So I'm gonna do my best, and that's the passion I have. So I'm just trusting my instinct and putting my best effort to tell this story and to share it with the audience.
That's awesome.
So when that project is complete, please come back on and
For sure, man.
talk with us about
Of
it.
course.
Okay.
I cannot wait to hear your thoughts when it'll be finished.
Absolutely. So Alejandro, you know, I just want to give you one more opportunity, but thank you so much for joining us today. This was super great. I love hearing you talk about the film and kind of, you know, explaining like what went into it and your thoughts about it. So just if you want to just let the viewers know where to find you, where to find this film when it comes out on March 11th and all that stuff, that would be great.
Well, the film will hit select theaters in the US and in around 20 cities, I think. And we for sure are going to be in Los Angeles and New York. Try to watch it on the big screen because the cinematic experience is huge. I really recommend it. If not, you will find it basically everywhere in all video on demand platforms. And if you want just to look for me, I am on Instagram on Ale Hidalgo Films, and the Exorcism of God. The name of the movie is the same title for its own Instagram, the Exorcism of God. So we are sharing some stills, trailers, advance, and reviews about the movie. So if you want to join to the fans, so just come and we will share all this info with you.
All right, everybody, you heard it there. March 11th. Keep an eye out in theaters, video on demand, The Exorcism of God. Alejandro Hidalgo. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. It was so nice to have this talking with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, everybody, check out the film and we will see you later. Have a good night.